Hey guys, Robert here. I just saw Venom: The Last Dance with my brother earlier, and I was angry like the first two, and I'm kind of glad. Feels like these movies have been a slight bit of diminishing returns. While I still feel the second one was fixed some of the error issues that Venom 1 had. I'm seeing my reflection big time. but yeah, like I said, I thought the second one still had issues, but it also made up for issues that the first one had. But this one, it feels like all of the issues came headlong, and I think that's in part because the writer of this is also the director. So probably more focused on that because I feel like they had so many ideas crammed into this. And at the same time, they're told, oh, we got to end this movie. This is the last one. We got to be a grand finale. And it really feels like they railroaded it. Okay, first, it opens up. For one thing, our worries that this was going to negate the symbiote being left behind in the MCU, completely unfounded. It was left behind. No, the scene we have happens after Eddie gets back. So it's just a little sample of the symbiote, which will probably come into play at the very end. But for one, we're introduced to this guy, Strickland, who is the head of Area 51, which is being decommissioned. Why? They don't really go into details on that, but he hates the symbiote. He's saying, oh, they're going to be alien invaders. And his character is really stupid, especially the guy who played Mordo and Doctor Strange. It's not Mordo, it's just the character. A different character, same actor. Eddie's gone back. He's being blamed for the death of Detective Milligan from the second movie. So he's now on the run, but then he says, like, we got to go to New York. There's a judge I have blackmail on. We'll use him to clear my name. Okay. Better than nothing, I guess. But they're all the way in Mexico. So they got to go from Mexico to there. And first, now at the same time, Null is introduced and he wants the Codex. But unlike in the comics where the Codex is in everyone, here the Codex is revealed, when a symbiote and its host bond by the symbiote saving the host's life, which is what he did in the first movie. So they have a Codex. So they send not a Grendel, but a Xenophage is what they call it, which is pretty much like the Grendel. And it only sees the symbiote when it's in its full form. So it could do like his head, it can make big arms, it can possess a horse, but it cannot be in its full form because that's what gets his attention. They're very loose with this stuff here. And Eddie first they stop because Venom needs brains. He eats a bunch of guys running a dogfighting ring. Okay, interesting. Then they're riding on a plane by holding on tight until the Xenophage shows up. They fight, they fall, they get away from it. Of course, Venom realizes what this is about. And then they're trying to make their way to New York. They meet up with a family with the guy who played Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man. Again, no, completely different character here. He's just a bit of a hippie father with his wife who is taking his kids to see Area 51 before it's decommissioned because he wants to see if there's really aliens there. And apparently they put their life savings into this trip. What? Like little things there that just make no sense. But they pick up Eddie. Nice little moment with him and the family where they're singing and Venom is singing. And it's like, no. He interacts with the son and says, I don't really want to see aliens. Aliens don't exist. You did the right thing. You'd make a good dad. Like, sweet moment that come out completely out of nowhere. A bit touching, but weird. There's a daughter who's snarky, but she ends up amounting that not too much. They drop Eddie off in Vegas and all that. And there's a running gag where Eddie keeps losing his shoes. First he has Crocs, and then they got destroyed by a dog, and he's got boots, and then they fall off when he's falling from the plane. And then he's given sandals, which Venom didn't want. And then while they're in Vegas, first they have to get a suit. So he knocks out a guy who was pissing on it, who ended up pissing on him. Long story. Well, not really long story, but just dumb story. Um, Eddie then goes inside and Mrs. Chen is there, and apparently she's been winning big enough that she has a penthouse. Okay. And Venom blows all the money that they had. They go up to the penthouse, and despite knowing they're taking its form because Mrs. Chen wants to dance and Venom wants to dance, but knowing that it's like, and Eddie's telling him the codex will be revealed and the thing will come after us. They dance. It's pointless, but it's corny fun, and it's Mrs. Chen. Gotta love Mrs. Chen. Never saw anybody liking that character, but she is just so hilarious. Although it's a different dancing than was in the trailer, weirdly enough. But then the creature shows up. There's a fight, and then Venom hides into Eddie again. The thing takes off, and then the Area 51 guys show up. Oh yeah, I forgot. There was a fight earlier, and Eddie ended up having to kill one of the Area 51 soldiers because they were trying to get him in self-defense. And there's the point where I wish you never gave him my life a year ago. So apparently it's been about over a year since the first movie. Okay. But again, some of the stuff is there, but it amounts to nothing. And then but anyway, Eddie's captured. Now, by this point, Toxin is not involved. Despite what people think, Toxin is not involved. Apparently Toxin left Milligan, and they put Milligan with a different symbiote who was telling them, and they're like, we ran away. We don't want to be around Null. Basically, these are some of the others that had landed in the first movie. And then basically Eddie shows it's separated at first, but then just so they give a She-Venom moment, Venom bonds with a female one. And now it's made clear, if either Venom or Eddie dies, the codex is gone. So the Mordo guy is pissed off. He comes up to Eddie and he's like, no. And it's like, we're taking over now. We're shutting it down. You just work here. Get out of here. It's just like, what the heck is this? And then he's like, he's mad one of his members died. And what do you do? Just pull that gun and shoots Eddie. Then turns out Venom was on one of the female scientists, becomes She-Venom, that jumps onto Eddie to get the bullet out and everything. And then the Xenophage shows up. And then a bunch of there's other symbiotes, and they're showing up. They're bonding with hosts left and right to help. None of them are Scream, at all though. Many of them get eaten. Milligan apparently gets eaten. He didn't have much of a choice in the matter. That's a bummer. They are just bound, like a big action, crazy action, not that bad. Oh yeah, the family had showed up to Area 51 and first like, there's no aliens. Boom! Symbiotes and Xenophage are running out. Now by this point you think all Eddie has to do is defeat the Xenophage and it'll be over. You know what I mean? It's just a one-time deal. Nope. The Xenophage lets out a cry. Null hears it, opens portals that sends a bunch of them. Once you see this, you realize they're railroading this. There is no other way this can end once they do that. And it just comes right the hell out of nowhere. Then, big action still. They're trying to deal with not just one, but a bunch of them. And then, symbiotes are left and right. One of the scientists were introduced is her brother was holding her hand when he got struck by lightning. And apparently that gave her electric powers, which come about once she bonds with a symbiote and saves the other female scientist. Again, they call out the one guy, Mordo, and his being an idiot. They're trying to protect the family. So many of these subplots are just slammed together, and they fit for what they're doing, but at the same time, they don't make much sense. And then Venom realizes, he has to sacrifice himself. So he grabs on, absorbs all of the different Xenophage. So pointing to this acid bath area. I forget if they set it up or not. And then, Mordo got mortally wounded, but he realized how wrong he was. The two female scientists are booking it out of here. Venom spits out Eddie, and then covers him up with just a metal door from one of the military trucks. Like, that's going to protect him. And then he's saying, like, this is just goodbye. And then the mortar guy, then Strickland ends up spewing, using this acid bath on him to kill, and ends up killing Venom and the xenophages, and then throws a grenade, which causes a really big explosion. And by the end of it all, the family are like, screw aliens, they're heading on out. The two scientists head on out, and then Eddie wakes up and is told, oh, don't bring a word about Area 51, and you will have your life back. You'll be cleared of all charges. And that's it. And now, of course, then it's made clear Venom and Zenol is still like going to get out somehow, and then it's implied there's going to be that little bit of Venom from the beginning, which is probably they have the bartender. He got apprehended. We see him wandering out. I think that's done to people can remember about that little bit of the symbiote, because you see a bug land by where the vial would have been, implying that thing could jump on it. The little sliver could jump on it, meaning Venom could come back. And that's it. It's a mess. This was basically like all of the problems of the first two movies came to head here. And it was just, I cannot make heads or tails, but yet the tone fit with the first two movies. So the tone has been consistent. It's been like, you've had the same writer across the three, but then three different directors, ending with the writer as a director. And boy, I just realized that's the story of Blade. That's the story of Blade here. And yet, Blade, yeah, it's very much like Blade now that I think about it. First one was the best. Second one, although in Blade's case, Blade 2 was very much better, whereas Carnage was just only a little bit better, arguably. And then ends a bit with a messy third one that seems to try and treat it like a grand finale end of a trilogy, and yet still sets things up. They're both identical in that regard. Wow, that just dawned on me. But yeah, overall, this movie was rough. It's not a trash fire. I want to make this very clear. It's not a trash fire. But at the same time, it is all over the map. Very much so. And do I recommend it? I say wait for streaming. It's a wait for streaming. Watch the whole trilogy when it does. It does feel like a complete story to a point, mostly in that it leads right from Venom 1 and the Venom 2 and the No Way Home stuff, and then leads right into it. So it does flow, but it's like so forced compared. The first two never really felt that much force. This one really did. And it's really egregious how much of the lore they really ignored just to do it. Like, I get what they were going to for the Codex. It kind of makes sense, and at least they used the code name, but why call it the Xenophage? Why not call it the Grendel? And Null was just set up and everything, and obviously they're like, oh, you'll be back. Believe it when I see it. But yeah, this was where they ended it. It's not a great ending. Now, is it a complete trash fire? It's still better than Madam Web. It's still better than Flash. It's still better than other things. But it's not that great either. This whole trilogy has been mediocre at best. I'm glad they exist. But at the same time, a lot of issues. But that's all I had to say here, guys. Nice, short, sweet, to the point review. Thank you guys for joining in, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.